Welcome to Vin and Mike, episode 106.
What's up, Vinny? Hello.
It's been jumping, hopping, stumping. New York is going crazy.
Wheeling and dealing.
Wheeling and dealing.
Moving and grooving. Shaking and baking.
All the Clyde. The Knicks, the Rangers, the Yankees, the Mets, the Jets, the Giants. Everyone's excited. New York sports is happening.
There is a great enthusiasm in New York, and it feels great.
On May 10th.
On May 10th.
The Rangers are up 3-0. The Knicks are up 2-0. The Yankees are essentially right there in first place. The Mets are actually being really competitive. We're a team that people thought was going to win 55 games. It's been good stuff. But let's say hello to KKFI, Kansas City. What's up, KC? How those Royals doing? I don't know. Yeah, not sure. And then, of course, Vin and Mike, podcast.com website. It's got I think I told you last time when we were on the show, they're starting to do some enhancement adjustments on the back end. So I'm excited to see what comes about with that and add some more flair to the site. It's good stuff. So, all right, Mike, go ahead. Knicks, let's start it off.
Can you give me the proper introduction, please?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Michael Diener going to talk about your New York Knicks.
Thank you, Vinny. So,
just so everyone knows, before you start, you went to Game 2, which was Wednesday, and so why don't you start there, and then we'll just talk about the whole series.
Yeah. So, for those who don't know, yes, I decided to check a bucket list item and go to a Knicks playoff game. This was my first one. And I went alongside of two of our very close friends, Victor and Dave. And we, went there very optimistic after game one, knowing that it's so crucial to win on your home floor. As I expected, going to the bar before the game, seeing all the Knicks fans there, it was just electric. And got there, and everyone, they gave us like the towels to wave. And this is a Knicks team, Vinny, that we've talked about that has injuries. Really not a lot of bench. It's their starters who've really been coming through. Compared to the other games, the Knicks got off to a very good start in the first quarter. Usually, that's been something that's not been ideal for them. And it was a very high-scoring first quarter. I think it was like 36-all, 36-34. And then Indiana seemed to chip away in the second quarter. Their pick and roll was really working. They were getting wide open, and it was frustrating to watch. But it was interesting because Jalen Brunson went out of the game, and we didn't really hear anything about it. But usually he goes out for a couple minutes, and then he's right back in, right, with Thibodeau's rotation.
Yeah.
And then he was out for an extended amount of time, and I tapped Victor on the shoulder. I'm like, yeah, why isn't he not back yet? And he just looked it up because we were at the Garden. He's like, yeah, Brunson hurt his foot. He's questionable to come back.
Yeah.
Now, going back to the beginning of the beginning of the game, they showed a highlight that I told you about that night, whatever it was, 50 years ago, whatever it was when Willis Reed was hobbling, and he came into Game 7 for the Knicks. So all the second quarter, again, Indiana ends up going up by 10. We're a little down. And, Vinny, you even said like you weren't even sure at that point, right? You had your doubts, right?
Yeah, of course. I thought he wasn't. First of all, the way they were talking on TV was like he was not going to come back in that game. And the halftime, with Barkley and Shaq and those guys, were all saying, essentially the Knicks are in big trouble here without Brunson, going to be able to return. But the great thing was, they went back to the Garden, and there he was warming up, getting ready for the second half. And
he's there shooting his free throws.
I was like, this guy is ready to go.
Crowd's going wild. we all know what has Jalen Brunson been. He's a warrior. He's a true Knick warrior. And when anybody says he's questionable, you know he's going to come back into the game and do anything he can to help his team win. And that's exactly what he did. He scored 24 of his 29 points in the second half. He was outstanding. We call him the Villanova 3. Him, DiVincenzo, and Hart. Hart just wants to play the whole game. And the Knicks just started chipping away, went on a huge run in the third quarter. And then Indiana started to, a little scary in the fourth quarter, but the Knicks held their composure. DiVincenzo had a big shot. And really hats off to the Knicks. Precious played too, which, he had to, right? So he became a factor. And I want to comment on OG Anunoby because he's hurt now. He has that hamstring injury out for game 3. But what he did in the first half was exhilarating because the momentum, a lot of it had to do with him. Jalen Brunson was out. He scored all those points. He got hurt in the beginning of the third quarter, but a huge testament to him. So they won. We're going crazy. Then outside, you just feel like this was the 90s, right? And all the fans are saying, go New York, go. And then Reggie Miller was announcing that game too, so that made it extra special. Yeah. And you know what the crowd was? I can't say it on the show, but you know exactly what they were saying to him. Yeah. And it was just a special night that there were just so many good vibes in that building. And this team is, as we said, special. And I just am amazed that they continue to do this with really a bench that they don't have a lot of players to come in the rotation. But these all guys are champions in my book because they continue to want to play. They don't care about the amount of minutes. They just want to get the job done. So as we go to game 3 tonight, we're not going to have OG Anunoby, which is huge, right? So now your bench even decreases more. And where do you have to get points? Well, you know what? Deuce McBride has to step up, which he has before. And then you got to get your minutes from Precious, right? We forget, I forgot to say too, Mitchell Robinson's out for the rest of the season. So again, this is a Knicks team that just continues to strive, and it's pretty amazing. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's Brunson, DiVincenzo, Hart, and don't forget about Hartenstein. He's been
Hartenstein. Yes, I did. He was
fantastic.
He was fantastic this past.
But those 4 guys really carried the whole team the last game. Precious was in there, and he's not an Obi, but he did enough, and you got Deuce. I don't know what the rotation is going to look like. I'm guessing Alec Burks will have to play. I just don't know who else is going to play. I'm really not sure.
If Alex Burks does play, Alec, please, you don't have to take every shot.
Yeah. So I would think Hart's going to play 48 minutes again. Brunson is going to probably play 40.
Yeah, that's what
they're all going to play 40 minutes again. They're in Indiana. It gets, it's going to be a little tougher. Their bench players have been really good. McConnell and Obi Toppin there.
McConnell's been a pest to Jalen Brunson.
And then that rookie, I forget his name, that was hitting the threes. Forget his name, but he was nice off the bench for them too.
Nebhard?
No, Nebhard starts. It's a kid off the bench. Can't remember.
They got Shepherd, maybe.
Shepherd, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, he was making threes. The interesting thing about Indiana that I found out in this series, they're not a great 3-point shooting team, right? Besides Halliburton, they're not like fantastic from there. I think we have a little edge with DiVincenzo and Brunson. But Siakam, man, he can just go to the hole. If we're gonna have to figure out a way to just keep him to shoot jump shots, because once he gets within 15 feet, you can't stop that guy.
No.
That was a very good. I tell you, Toronto made 2 trades that have helped both the Knicks and the Pacers. The OG trade, which again, Achua getting thrown in there has been a godsend. We really need him. And then Siakam going to Indiana. Both those trades have put these teams essentially where they are. Like, I think without OG, I don't know if we would have been a 2 seed.
No.
I don't know where we would be, overall. I know the Pacers probably might not even made the playoffs if Siakam.
Yeah. And also, OG's defense is phenomenal.
Yeah, all the stuff. We're gonna miss him tonight. I'm concerned about tonight's game a lot. Brunson is running on half speed. No OG, like you said, no Mitchell Robinson anymore. We haven't had Julius Randle. I mean, it's crazy the depth of injuries that this team has. Bojanovic is out, right? I mean, you're talking 4 guys that would be in the normal rotation, including Randall, who would be starting, are not even, anywhere to be found. So you're really down to players 9 and 10, right? Or 10 and 11, right? Like Precious and Deuce are essentially 10 and 11 on the bench. Where the other 4 guys.
Alec Burks is like
the 12th man.
Right.
Shake Milton is going to have to play tonight.
Maybe they'll do that April Fools again with Walcott Frazier.
Maybe John Starks will actually come into the game.
Suit up John Starks.
He's so animated on the sidelines. It looks like he's ready to
I love that story that you saw him on the train.
Oh, you like that?
And I was watching their roommates podcast the other day. John Starks was on. You guys have to check that out. Great show.
Yeah, John Starks made sure people recognized him. He was in full Knicks gear on the train.
He was saying that he just amps up the crowd on the Amtrak, and he's all about it. He's great.
Yeah, he's definitely a New Yorker, through and through. But it's good to see all the older guys there. I saw Mari Stoudemire. Game 2.
Sprewell.
Sprewell's always there. Allen Houston, Patrick was there.
Yeah.
All the guys. They're all.
Bernard Novak was there the other night.
Marcus Camby.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy to see those guys, but it's good. It's good. It's the way New York is supposed to be. And then Garden's just hopping. The Rangers winning these overtime games left and right. It's exciting time. I think that Ranger team is going to be very hard for teams to beat. I've caught some of the last couple of games, and they're just fast in there. They're just great defense. Shesterkin is just fantastic as a goaltender. But what's his name? Kreider, man, just keeps figuring out a way to score goals. It's just amazing. It's been good.
You know what they have in common, the Rangers and the Knicks? It's like the Rangers games, last couple have been very close, overtime, right? Clutch.
Yep.
Knicks. 7 out of these 8 playoff games down to the last 5 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And the Knicks are winning.
Yep.
Where these teams in the past would lose.
Oh yeah.
Their resilience is just amazing.
I mean, the big shots that DiVincenzo hits, the Brunson hits, Josh Hart even. I mean, those Villanova guys, they play super animated. They play well together. They've been, you can just see that they just have a unique way of just connecting with each other. So it's great to see. But Josh Hart made sure he told Reggie Miller what the crowd was saying.
What the crowd was, that was a great clip.
He said, Reggie, they're telling you to go,
Just letting him know.
Yeah.
You know what happened at the beginning of the broadcast? Reggie Miller said, I've owned this place. And he really has it. Obviously, he's had his games there, and we know which ones they were. But the Knicks had a better overall record against the Pacers. So the crowd was really pissed off about that. And then they just went off and, hey.
Yeah.
2-0.
I tell you, those old Indiana Knicks rivalries, they were awesome. We always talk about the Bulls Knicks, Pacers Knicks. I'm guessing the Heat Heat Knicks says, a little later. Always Celtics, right?
Always.
I'm hoping we get to the next round, and I'm hoping Boston's there. After last night's game, I don't know what Celtics.
You know what? I talked to some Boston fans. Obviously disappointed, especially on your home court, losing like that. There's no excuses. But in game 2 of the Miami series, they got blown out as well. And this is a team that we've talked about, even without KP, has so much depth that it's really hard to beat them. But, yeah, we absolutely want to see Knicks-Boston. That would be incredible. And it very well may be Boston Bruins and Rangers.
That'd be great, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be great. That's great for us, it's great. I don't know how people outside of the New York-Boston markets feel about those matchups, but I'm guessing it's really popular because anytime the Yankees and Red Sox play, it's always a Sunday night game, right? So they always try to put the most popular game on baseball Sunday night. So I would think Rangers, Bruins people will be very excited for. Knicks, Celtics, I think that would be very excited for. It just it's a really good May in New York right now.
Yeah.
I don't have to cry about the Yankees losing 4-3 yesterday, but listen, it's baseball, right? You can't win 162 games.
Here's the other thing. No disrespect to the Yankees or Mets. Yeah. We have so many games left. I can't even comment on it. You want them to get off to a good start. You want to see good pitching, good batting. You want to see what the progression is. But that's the difference, that you have so much time to make it up and get your rosters together. Remember, people were bitching about the Mets after the first series, like 2 series, like, they're the worst. They're tanking. Like, come on, like that.
They were 0-5, right?
Yeah.
Let me see. Let me look this up.
They were. I think they lost their first 4 or 5. I forget. They definitely lost their first 4. I forget if it was 5.
Yeah, I think they were 0-5, but let me see what their record is now. The Mets are a beautiful 18-18.
Yeah, it's not
they're right there. They're a 500 team. I think the way they designed the team this year and where they're spending their money, I think if they finish the season at 500, I think that's a big accomplishment for that team.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah, I wanted to get back to Boston Knicks. There was a trivia question on the Garden-Tron, the big TV there. Who for the Knicks face most in the playoffs? It's been the Celtics. And a playoff series that's not really talked about that Patrick was involved with was 1990. The Knicks were a 5th seed. Boston was a 4th seed. At that time, the Celtics were getting older. They still had their Dennis Johnson, Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Parrish, but they were getting older. They weren't in their prime anymore. And the Knicks were starting to gel. Knicks were down, and that's when you still had the 5-game first round, right? Knicks were down 2-0. So everyone's just like, okay, well, maybe they'll win 1 game. They end up winning 2 at the Garden. You know how difficult it is to win a game 5 or 7 at someone else's arena.
Yeah.
And they did. And Patrick Ewing actually hit a 3-pointer. And you knew something was going to happen. But you got to catch that out, that game 5 at Boston Garden. It was pretty awesome to see that. Then they played the Pistons with the bad boys who won the championship, and they did not succeed. But that was a fun series to watch.
Yeah. I would love to see Patrick play in today's game. I think he would average 30, 35 points a game.
Can you imagine me teaming up with Jalen Brunson? Jalen Brunson had that, like him and
man.
Art. Oh man,
my brothers. We were talking. I'm like, imagine the Villanova 3 with Patrick in '94. He goes, we would have swept Houston. He's probably right. That team would have been with those 3 guys and Patrick. Forget it. Yeah. I'm excited. I'm really excited for this team, man. I just, the more I look at the games, the more I see, what's out there in front of us. I think this team, has a real good shot at making a good run here. I can't say we're going to beat Boston, but I think we can really be extra competitive.
Yeah. I think people who are not Knicks fans really have a lot of excitement for the team because they see they play with so much heart. They see the energy that they play with. They see someone like a couple of my friends who are not Knicks fans are like, I want to dislike Jalen Brunson. I just can't. I can't dislike the guy.
No.
Because he comes to play every game.
Yeah.
He's not a dirty player. He just wants to compete. And yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Listen, he's I love his interviews after, right? He's all about the team. He's all about competitive play. Gives his opponents a lot of credit. He's just a really good leader for the Knicks. He just is. He's just a guy that we didn't know what he would be, but he's everything and more than we could ever expected. I watched Donovan Mitchell play against the Celtics, and he's fantastic. And we always talk about that trade that didn't go through, and why couldn't the Knicks make that trade for Mitchell, and this whole thing. And I don't know if they would sign Brunson if they would have made the Mitchell trade, and then I don't, they don't know what kind of team you really have, at that point, because who's going to be our point guard at that point, right? Like, who else would they have brought in? Would they brought in Josh Hart? Would they brought in DiVincenzo? I think the makeup of the team would be totally different. If they would have added Mitchell and Brunson, then it would have been a totally different thing. But I'm just glad that it turned out that we got Brunson, because getting him allowed us to make the Josh Hart trade. It allowed them to make the OG trade. It allowed them to sign DiVincenzo in free agency. It just, the stars aligned better for this team. And Brunson finished, I think it was 5th in the MVP voting, which, like I said, I'd like to see him get some votes, and he did. I think, it was more than fair that he was 5th. Maybe he should have been 4th, right? We could have pushed that, but Shaq was very mad that SGA did not win the MVP.
He was mad about, but did you see how he interviewed the Joker? Like, he was just, did you see that interview? No, he's just like, congratulations, but I thought, you shouldn't have won. He was very blunt about it.
He's very mad that SGA didn't win. I'm telling you, he was very angry.
I know.
He's like, he asked, I forgot who he asked, but he's like, define an MVP in your opinion. And I think it was Jackson, that from the Grizzlies. It was in studio with them. And he said, I define an MVP as the best player on the best team. Right. And that's what Shaq was then he got upset because, OKC had the best record in the West, and he just, that was it.
Yeah. They also knocked the Knicks a lot. Barkley, he was just saying,
of course.
There's obviously, but the Knicks are, again, my question to you is, obviously what excited us back in the 90s were those Riley teams of the great defense, right?
Okay.
How do you, and you said obviously you're really excited about this year's team, of course. Yeah. What makes this team so special to you, and how would you compare it to the 90s team?
I think they're really gritty. I think that's the best way to put it. That I don't know if they're the most talented team every night. I don't know if they're better than Indiana on a talent level, but I will tell you, they work really hard. They offensive rebound better than any team I've seen wearing a Knicks uniform. They're all over the boards. They hustle on defense. They make clutch shots. They do all the little things as a team that sometimes you want that gritty player to do, right?
Right.
I think, when you look at, I'm trying to think of a good example of like a Scottie Pippen, right? Scottie could bring the ball up the court. He can play defense. He can shoot one, so I could drive. He's going to go grab a rebound. He's going to take a charge, right? Not that any of these guys are Scottie Pippen, but they play that kind of game, right? Like they do everything together, and it's not just one guy that does it. Like there'll be times Brunson is just in the middle of the pack, right? Like taking a charge, grabbing a rebound. Josh Hartle's, not the greatest shooter, but he'll shoot that three when it's open and drill it. DiVincenzo will drive to the hoop when he can and dunk a ball. It's just like, it's just all that stuff that comes together, and it's exciting. It makes you feel good to see that it's cohesive. That's the good word too. So yeah, it's everything.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think that they're
just gritty. I think that's the word, right? Gritty.
And I want to just, you talked about this, Hartenstein and Josh Hart, right? Because sometimes Brunson, and rightfully so, he'll get a lot of this credit, but it's a lot of these role players too that have done a phenomenal job. The coast to Josh Hart, the way he runs that floor, incredible. I also noticed with him that was happening towards the end of the season, he was very, very hesitant to shoot the ball. And he still is in a way. It's still, sometimes he's hesitant to take the shot. But I noticed now he's more confident driving to the basket, taking those shots, and of course making a good pass. And Hartenstein, all over the place, rebounding, getting good quality shots so close to the basket. Great defense. I mean,
he almost had a triple-double on Wednesday.
Oh.
He's really like his offensive game is much better than I thought it is. He gets himself in the post there. He makes his jump shots. He makes his free throws. That's a big thing. So if he's getting fouled while he's down low, that's great. Like you said, he grabs rebounds, but yeah, he passed the ball too. I think I want to say he had 8 assists. I didn't look at the box score, but he had 7 or 8 assists in game 2. I mean, if he's gonna put up those numbers, in his role, that's another fantastic thing. And I like that they scored 130 points. Right? Like, when did a Knicks team ever score 130 points?
Right. I know. It's so rare.
Yeah.
I had a comment or something you made me laugh about. Rick Carlisle. Yeah. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
He reported to the NBA. I think it's embarrassing, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
78 missed calls.
Yeah.
He got thrown out of the game, complaining. We talked about this. You could report to the NBA. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
You're just causing an unneeded commotion.
Yeah.
For petty stuff, right?
Yep.
And my neighbor, who's actually a big Pacers fan, right, said something to me very interesting the other day. He goes, it was after game 1, and there were a couple calls that went, maybe not in the favor of the Pacers. He goes, I never want to be one of those people who complain that the refs ruined this game. At the end of the day, it's 48 minutes of play, and if your team is losing, there's probably a reason for that, right? Lack of defense, bad passing, so on and so forth. But you saw this Rick Carlisle, and then just doing something like this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I just don't like his comments. Like, the small market teams don't get the calls. Does you realize Denver won the championship like last year? Like, it wasn't the Lakers.
Look at what the Timberwolves are doing. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, OKC. This is not New York, Chicago, or LA that's winning championships every year. I think it's a little sore loserish. I think ultimately calls go both ways. Like, we've seen it plenty of times, this year with the Knicks, right? Remember that one game with Brunson getting that phantom call on that 3-pointer? I forget what game that was, but you remember.
I do.
Yeah. There's some of these. What about what's his name? Maxey traveled on that 4-point play.
Right.
He took 3 steps before he took a shot. I mean, listen, it happens on both ends. At the end of the day, I don't see it favored towards a big market team. Like I don't think the Knicks are getting calls because they're in New York. I don't think Boston gets calls because they're in Boston. Or the Lakers are gone. They're out of the series. If anyone would get big calls, it's gonna be LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers, and that didn't happen. So I just think it's a little like stop whining. Get your team ready to play. The hardest thing to do in sports, I still think of it all the time. Any sport, it's a little different for each one, but I still think it's winning a game on the road. I think it's just difficult, right? We always talk about in the NFL how hard it is to win, road games in the NFL. You always think you're going to bet this big team, and then they get upset because they went on the road and just like lost. I think about all the times like the Chiefs happened. So your first 2 games were in New York. It's a really freaking loud, crazy environment. You got some young players there that are not used to that whole scenario, and you lost the first 2 games. Okay, now regroup. You're going home. Go win your next 2 games. That's the way I look at it. Stop. 78 plays that you think didn't go your way. Oh my! I mean, that is a ridiculous amount of plays. What are you're telling me? Those are 78 fouls or non-fouls, or like what are the actual plays? You're telling me if it's that many, everybody's fouled out of the game, every single player. Like, come on, it's like it's a little ridiculous. But at the same time, I think you have to build that rapport with the officials, right? You got to tell them, I need you to look at this. Are you seeing this guy's pushing him? Do you see this guy's taking too many steps? This guy's spending too much time in the paint. I think he's in there for 3 seconds, right? Like it's those kind of conversations you have with officials, and you build that rapport with them. They'll start paying attention to that stuff for you, because you built that relationship on the court. Carlisle's like stressing that relationship. Some of these coaches, get a little like too crazy. Tibbs will get a little nuts too with certain things, right?
Yeah, but he has the ability to calm down very shortly after.
But he knows how to communicate with those guys.
Exactly.
He knows how to communicate with them. So I always thought like Pat Riley and Phil Jackson. I think Eric Spoelstra is really good at it. They're just able to build. You can just see like the refs are having conversations with them about the game, right? And they're not in their face over like fouls and stupid stuff. So I think that's it's a thing that Carlisle lacks right now. So I don't know.
You're right. You're going home tonight. You have a Knick team that a lot
I know Halliburton's hurt too, right? His back is bad. It's been bad for a while.
Yeah.
But hey, listen, I think there's a good advantage, as we always talk about. We don't bet against our team, but I think if I was betting tonight, I would take the Pacers.
Yeah, listen, someone asked me this. How do you feel about the Knicks tonight? I always think and here's what I'm going to say. I always think they could win.
Yeah.
They always could find a way. Tonight is just extra difficult because you lost OG Anunoby, who's a prime player. Now think about this. You already lost Mitchell Robinson. You already lost Julius Randle. Bogdanovich is out, right? Have you ever seen this? It's really it's just
50-50.
Say again?
Brunson's 50-50. Remember, he's 50-50 tonight. We don't.
And he'll play.
I mean, listen,
it's
2 hours to tip off, right? We can hear in another hour that he's not playing, right? And then we'll be like, what the hell?
It's highly unlikely he's not going to play.
No, I'm just saying it, but he's 50-50. Even if he plays, we don't know what level of Jalen Brunson is going to be out there. We just don't know. We don't know how bad that foot sprain is. Maybe he just needs a cortisone injection and he felt better. You know,
Yeah.
maybe they put it in that nice what's that called? Epsom salt. You know,
Yeah.
soaked it after the game. His girlfriend massaged it for him.
It'll be fine.
Is he married? I don't even know.
I think he just got married, actually, if
Really?
I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
I like how his father parents him on the sideline.
Yeah, he does. Because not in the playoffs, but during the regular season, he would be complaining a little bit, right?
Sit
And
down.
then just like, it'll be like, shut up. Just
Yeah, sit down.
that's great. That dynamic is fantastic.
It's nice that he's coaching the team. It's nice. It's a nice
It is nice.
nice little thing. Hey, what'd you think about Austin? Did you hear what Austin Rivers said about James Jones?
No, I didn't hear that. What do you do?
He basically said like, you know, I'm guessing James Jones was, I don't know if he insulted him or he made a comment about basketball, and Austin Rivers basically said nobody knows who James Jones is.
Oh,
And James Jones is like, you know, I led the NFL in receiving touchdowns one year. You
yeah.
know, I won a Super Bowl, right? Like, he just went like off on him, and then he said, you know, you're a guy that averaged like 7 points and 2 rebounds in your career.
I really, speaking of comments, I really like what Pat Riley told Jimmy Butler, keeping his mouth shut.
Yeah.
Those who don't
Yeah, but
Right.
I think Butler is trying to get traded.
He's trying to get traded. That's what I think, because those are comments that you want to get traded. You don't want to be there anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the market is for Jimmy Butler.
And that's what Pat Riley, I think he was very stern about it, but he said, which Jimmy Butler speaking is the one who is kidding or being serious? But I felt if you make a comment like that, his comment was basically just saying that he could be, if he's on the floor right now, they could beat the Knicks. They could beat the Knicks right now. And I think that Riley just said, well, you're not on the floor right now. You're not playing the Knicks, so give them some respect. That's what it basically came down to.
Yeah. I think he's just looking for a contract extension or a trade. He's just chirping a little bit. He's a unique guy, He'll show up at like those media days, dressed a little fashionable. His hair will be something different than you would think that he would come there with.
Right.
But he's not phenomenal like regular season player, right? Like he's not a great 3-point shooter. He's not, he's always injured in a certain way. But when it comes to the playoffs, the guy just takes his game to another level. So he's an interesting guy. Like what do you give up for that kind of guy?
Right.
Like are you going to win, 55 games with them, and the Heat have not, right? The Heat have been basically 8 seed or the 7 or 8 seed back-to-back years, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not 100% sold on the kind of player that he is in the regular season, but he's just a unique dude.
Actually had in the show, I have a quick trivia question for you. You love this. So
Okay, good.
we're talking about, we weren't really talking. We were talking about the Pacers coach and Rick Carlisle and just how he got thrown out of the game. But what player in NBA history had the most technical fouls? Who do you think it was?
I will say Dennis Rodman.
Karl Malone.
Oh, really?
332.
Wow.
And Charles Barkley right behind him at 329. And
Wow.
Rasheed Wallace, 317.
Wow.
Jerry, as far as coaching is concerned, Jerry Sloan had 446.
How many does Draymond Green have? Is he on the list?
It's funny. They made a comment about Draymond Green does not crack the top 10, which they're shocked about. Not yet, at least. So,
wow. Yeah. I didn't realize Karl Malone had that many technical fouls.
Yeah. I thought that was a good guess, Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, Rodman. He was always like instigating and doing crazy stuff and getting ejected. He was a nutball. But let me tell you, talking about rebounding and defense, that guy did it all. And we're talking about taking a charge. He would let Shaquille O'Neal run over him and take a charge. You know, he was
what a pickup he was from the Pistons. What I forget if he was actually drafted or he just was like a walk.
I think when the NBA had like 18 rounds of drafts or something, I think he was like one of those like 11th round picks or something. Yeah. Remember when the NBA used to have those like huge drafts?
Yes.
Yeah. Now they just do 2 rounds, which and then you get free agent pickups. But I think he was one of those like super late draft picks back when they had the long rounds, I think.
Right.
You can look it up. But either way, I mean, he's a Hall of Famer that was a late draft pick, not a scorer at all. You know, I don't think he can make a free throw if his life depended on it.
Yeah.
But he'd grab every single rebound. He would play unbelievable defense, and those two things are hard to find. Yeah. And he did it every single game.
You asked me a great question yesterday. We're on our group chat with Matt about Jokic and just asking, where does he fall in the NBA top players?
Yeah.
And my first initial reaction was maybe 15 to 20, but when you called it out, and this is not, like you said, you can't use KD and who else? You said, who else can I use?
Yes, he's I forgot who I said. I know he's better than Durant. He's won 3 MVPs and he won a championship, right?
Yeah, you have to look at that. You have to look at championships.
You know. So let me look at our chat here real quick. Did I put it in with me and you and Matt?
Yeah, you did. And while you're doing that, yeah, I mean, obviously you have your Jordans, your Magic, your Birds.
I said, don't give me Giannis or Durant. That's what I said.
That's what you said, yeah.
I said, don't give me Giannis or Durant. So, Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Magic, or, that's the Bird, Bill Russell, Shaq, Wilt Chamberlain, Curry, Duncan,
right?
Olajuwon. There's guys.
It's very hard to move up in that competition.
Kobe.
It's very hard to move up in that competition.
No, there's certain guys you're not going to pass. Like the top 10 to me, you got Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Magic, right? You got Bird, Kobe, Russell,
yep,
Wilt,
yep. Oscar Robinson, I think, is there.
Oscar, or maybe Duncan, right? And then you could throw Steph Curry, you could throw Shaq. That's like 12 guys there. Like that upper echelon, the first 7 or 8 that we talk about. It's hard to get there. It's going to be very hard to get there. Like Jokic, like where in your right mind you're going to say that Jokic's better than Kobe Bryant? Right? Like where are you going to say he's better than Bill Russell or Kareem? Like it's just so hard to say that. Like it took LeBron a very long time to people say he's better than Magic and maybe better than Kareem. There's still some people that'll say he's better than Jordan, but we know that's not true. But even today's guys, they voted Jordan as the best player. These are guys that are in their 20s that essentially never saw Jordan play, right, and have voted that Jordan's the best player ever. Right?
You know what I wonder one day? When the Knicks win a championship.
Yeah.
Not if, because they will one day. And they continue to strive with Jalen Brunson, where he'll end up on that top 50 list or 75. Where's his place in that one day? And
yeah, and listen,
he keeps playing the way he does. Who knows?
If he wins a championship in New York, right, which that essentially puts you in a whole different stratosphere, right? Look at Clyde Frazier. He's hasn't played in 50 something years. He won championships, 50 plus years ago. And he's like one of the most loved guys every time he walks in the Garden. Like half the people there were, or actually more than half weren't even alive to watch him play. I wasn't even alive when they won their first championship.
There you go.
You know what I mean? It's just like it's so long ago, and the guy is still like the golden child, right? It's like Mark Messier for the Rangers, the golden child. Derek Jeter is going to be like forever. He's going to be 90 years old. Wheeled out in a wheelchair on Old-Timers Day, and 50,000 people give him a standing ovation. It's all about winning. It's about winning.
That's what's going to happen with you when they wheel you into turntable. 50 years old, you're going to give that wave.
Episode 1000.
Wheel right into turntable.
What a plate of wings. I still want the half and half.
I love that half and half.
Yeah, like if you like a good spicy wing, it's got a good little bit of kick on it, and then the what's the other one? Like a soy ginger.
Yeah,
very nice. It does the same flavors with the dumplings too, which I like.
Yeah,
get some spicy dumplings, or you can get the soy ginger ones. He's got the special recipe. He won't tell us.
No, we tried to ask him. He would not reveal it.
Not reveal it. All he will say is they're double fried. That's all he says.
But if you saw Curb the last with the rest, did you see the Curb? I don't want to give it away.
Well, yeah, tell it.
There was like, it reminded me of it. Like there was an episode where they went to Auntie Ray's restaurant, right? And she had a secret recipe, like the salad dressing.
Right.
And Jeff, for Susie, like their anniversary, she said she would never give it to anyone. He calls up Auntie Ray saying that Larry was there, saying that he was having like a heart, he was having like some kind of heart issue, and they needed to know what was in the salad dressing to get the recipe.
And she gave it to him?
Yeah, she gave it to him, and then somehow she found out later that it was all bullshit. And
like everything he does.
Oh my God! But yeah, we don't know that recipe. So
that show is wild, man. He is such a wild guy. Yeah. How old is he now? 70?
Late 70s, like 77, 78.
Jerry just turned 70.
That's crazy.
Paul O'Neill still gets residual checks.
I saw that article.
He gets $57. He said,
yes,
that's awesome.
That is awesome.
He says it's nothing to do with the money, of course, because it's like no real money, but he just likes that he gets it to remind them that he was part of such a great show.
That he was part of that.
Yeah. I still can't believe that show live went off the air in 1999. It did not run into the 2000s. Like it's been off the air live for 25 years. And let's just say the middle 90s is where it really excelled the most, right? So let's say 30 years ago. And here's a show 30 years ago that kids now, are watching. Like these college kids, they're just like totally vested in and watching Seinfeld.
And don't forget, when that show came on the air, it almost got canceled.
Yeah.
It was almost where it didn't even exist. They had to fight for that show.
Yeah. It was the lowest rated show, like in the like that season.
Yeah.
Out of all the shows on all the networks, it was the lowest rated season 1. I don't know what made them come back in season 2. I don't know why the NBC executive thought.
Well, you had that guy Brandon Tartikoff, who was like a television genius, and I think he believed in the show. So back then, you had all those. NBC was a juggernaut in TV. You had Cheers and all those. You had everything. They had all the shows.
And
everything.
Family Ties. Remember Family Ties?
Cosby. They had everything.
Cosby, which you can't watch anymore.
No.
But Family Ties. That's when Michael J. Fox got really started. And then he started doing the Back to the Future movies, and was still doing Family Ties.
Look what that. He was at the Knicks game the other day.
Was he?
Got a nice ovation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine what his life was like. Think about that. Like, you're doing Family Ties, like huge hit show, and then you get to do Back to the Future. You're like right on cloud
He was
nine there.
one of the biggest young stars in Hollywood, and then he got sick.
Yeah.
You know, I remember he did Teen Wolf. I remember when he was the basketball player.
That was a good movie.
Right.
The second one, not so much.
Teen Wolf 2?
Awful. Not with him, though.
Who played the Teen Wolf?
He admits it. It was awful. Jason Bateman.
Oh, Jason Bateman.
It was so bad. Yeah.
He was at the Knicks game too, right?
Yeah, he's there. Yeah. You know, Ben Stiller's always there.
Always there.
And Chris Rock was there.
Yeah.
Tracy
Morgan's always there.
Yep.
Of course, Spike Lee's been there forever.
Yeah. Spike Lee, actually, at the beginning of the game, he took a picture with Reggie Miller with the newspaper articles that were printed about both of them. It was hilarious.
Great.
Yeah.
That's really good. Spike's an awesome New York sports fan.
Yeah, through and through.
I think he still lives in Brooklyn too.
Yeah. He loves his Knicks.
Yeah. He's always there. He sits in that same seat forever.
Yeah, it was good. It was good to just see him from above.
How was it the view from where you sat?
It was great. So I said to myself when I was getting the tickets that the amount that I paid, I could have sat in the 400 section or sit in the 200 section, which was standing room only. And we were, three of us have no problem standing, right? So they put you in this section. And we actually got a corner, which was great because then you could put your drinks on there, right? And just relax.
Yeah.
And the view that we had, there was no obstruction. It was incredible. It really was. So it was neat. Man, I'm so glad I did that.
How many people are in like that standing
section? Not a lot. I would say in that section, maybe 20. Nothing.
Oh, nice.
And then what was cool was you go out of there, there's a bar right there, right? Restroom was closed and no one really bothers you. So you're in and out. It's really cool.
Yeah, when they redid the garden, like that whole area up there, they made it really nice.
Yeah. No, it was the environment was amazing.
It's great stuff, man. Like we always say, New York City is really hopping when the Knicks and Rangers are in the playoffs in the Garden. It's just a whole different atmosphere. It's just you just see it, you feel it. Well,
I was making a joke, Vinny, that we went to Stout before the game, which is a big Ranger Knick bar, right? Yeah. And had all the banners up. But even like a couple hours before the game, it was packed. And I made a joke. I'm like, yeah, when Isaiah Thomas was the coach, we
it had a lot more room in Stout.
But I was telling the guys a story when I was living in Hoboken, 2011, 2012. The Knicks were really bad. They did have Melo at that point, but they weren't really winning.
Yeah.
And then one day, Mr. Linsanity comes along, and that enthusiasm was, short-lived. Yeah. But with that, so I would go to the bars, and they would always have the Knicks on the small TVs, and I would, I was a diehard fan, so I would just watch.
Yeah.
And then when Linsanity came along in the first couple of games, and then they saw something was happening, everyone was going crazy. Like it just sparked something. So that
it was no longer on the small TV; it was on the big TV, right?
It sure was. Yeah.
It's really good stuff. Really good stuff. I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying these NBA playoffs as a whole. Very impressed with this Minnesota team.
Woo! Went on Denver's home court.
Yeah, I like the way the Mavericks bounce back, beat OKC. I like the way Cavaliers are playing. So it's really exciting. I essentially feel we'll get Knicks, Celtics, and I think the Timberwolves are going to beat the Nuggets at this point. And I still think OKC. So I think we'll get a little T-Wolves, OKC, and then we'll see what happens from there. At that point, we'll see. I'm nervous about tonight.
I am a little nervous about, like I said,
One Brunson. I'm more nervous that Brunson's, not going to be available for us, moving forward. So I'm just.
So let me ask you something. By you saying that, would you just say, "Hey, listen, sit out tonight, rest"? No. You can't say that.
No. Listen.
He
Tibbs told him, "Listen, I want you to sit because
he won't."
He's going to say, "No, I'm not doing it."
Because he's a true competitor. That's
like they asked Josh Hart, how you feel that coach isn't giving you rest. He goes, "Coach asked me to sit out all the time." He goes, "I'm the one who's choosing to stay in there."
Right.
So it's not that's keeping him out there.
Yeah.
So, but listen, we're like I said, we're down to the depths of the bench. So somebody got to step up.
Alec Burks is going to score the winning basket tonight.
Who knows?
You never
know. That guy sometimes all of a sudden, can hit like 5 or 6 3-pointers out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see. I just want to comment on that. So you were saying like you're nervous.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm more of this game tonight to me is like a bonus. And I say that, as I said previously, that I always think the Knicks can win. They've shown resilience. They show heart every game. This is a little bit different, though, because your bench was already slim. Now you're without OG, right?
Yeah.
The Pacers are coming home pissed, right? It's going to be a very difficult game to capture. But you did what you had to do on your home court and win 2. So even if they lose tonight, you bounce back like you did, and you win game 4, and then you go back to the Garden and do it on your home court. No problem with that.
If we could split, that'd be fantastic.
That's a win. That's a win.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be tonight. Like you said, it could be Sunday's game 4, right?
I guess Sunday is game 4. Yeah, because it's every other day. Yeah. I don't think they're going to push it 2 days. No, I think it's Sunday.
Yeah. I think they have
I'll look it up quick.
I think game 5, I think they announced for Tuesday at 7:00.
Tuesday, game 5. So it has to be Sunday. Yeah, because I remember looking at that. Yeah, so I was essentially going to go to that game. Yeah, game 4 is Sunday, 3:30.
Because I know some of the places in New York are starting to have Knicks parties. I started seeing the celebrity parties starting to pour in to all the different restaurants and everything down there now.
Yeah.
They're starting to get to the mainstream people now.
All those bandwagon Knicks fans?
Yeah, they're all starting to pop up, Before you know it, Beyonce and Taylor Swift will be at the Knicks game. Man, we were almost in an hour here, Mike.
You know what? It was pretty much all Knicks talks tonight, as it should be.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
It definitely should be. Hopefully, our next show we'll be talking more Knicks, more Rangers, more good playoffs. We're gonna have Matt come on if it's Knicks Celtics.
Yeah. I also want to give a shout out to my friend Brian, who he listens to us all the time. We have to get him on the pod at some point. Just timing hasn't worked out, but he's a huge Knicks and Yankees fan, so we're constantly talking to each other about it. And just give him a shout out for his loyalty to the show and appreciate him. So.
Yeah. We have a very good core audience out there, and we're very appreciative of it. And I think episode 100 really showed how awesome that core audience is. So very cool stuff.
Yes, sir. Let's go Knicks tonight, Vinny. Matt and I will be texting each other tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm gonna go eat some dinner and take a nap so I could not fall asleep when they're down by 20 at half.
Way to be optimistic, jerk. All right, see you next time, everybody.
Bye. I'm gonna record that.